In today's video, I want to talk about the impact that Goth influencers have on the subculture. Hello spooky bats and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hi and welcome. My name is Orphea and I'm a Goth YouTuber from Belgium. In today's video I want to talk about the impact that Goth influencers have on the subculture. So in today's video I'm going to talk about Goth influencers, which means YouTubers, people on Instagram, people on TikTok and people on Twitter or other platforms, etc. So I'm going to group all of them together and I want to address a few points that I feel are necessary. First things first, before I start going into the advantages, disadvantages, because that's something that I feel is very important we talk about, I quickly want to address that the way you see me on camera and the way that you see most of these influencers on camera, on pictures, on video, is a fraction of their time. It is a momentary video or fraction of their lives that you see, for me at least, because I put on makeup before I recorded this video, I put on a pretty necklace, I made sure that my background is black with a light on it, etc. So the thing that you see is not real life. And that is what you see with 99% of the content that is out there. It is staged, it is made for the specific reason of creating the content. And it helps portray a message. It helps you know something about that person. It helps you know what they are, what they relate to, etc. I could as well make this video without wearing any makeup, but it would give you a totally different image of me, and that is the reason why we wear makeup, why we wear certain clothes, why we put up a black backdrop, etc. It's just to give a certain image to you. But this is not the way I look 99% of the time. Case here, this is what I look like at the office most days. So this is the way that you would usually see me. I'm still Goth. Do I still identify as Goth? Absolutely, but I look a different way, and some people feel like that look is super important. For me it really depends, honestly. But the reason I'm making this video is because you have to really keep in mind that what you see on the internet is only a fraction of people's day in their life or time. For some of them it might not be, but for most of us it is. And there's another thing that I really want to accentuate, is that influencers should not be gatekeepers of the scene. We should not decide whether you identify or not as Goth. We should not have an opinion on whether you want to or don't want to identify as Goth. You can identify as Goth if you feel like you belong in the Goth subculture. And for this, I want to, before we even get started into the pros and cons of people on the internet talking about Goth subculture, I want to quickly tell you what the Goth subculture is, because there seems to be a lot of confusion about this. Now, there is also a history part to Goths that is totally not related to the Goth subculture. And here's a quick piece of information from Wikipedia about it right here on screen, because I, for the Lord, cannot remember these things. The thing is, for me, the Goth subculture started in the 70s, 80s as a post-punk movement. So the first thing that actually made the Goth subculture as we know it today is the music. And the music will, for me personally, always be the foundation of the Goth subculture. There also has been Gothic literature, which is kind of horror literature. There's also Gothic architecture, of course, and there's also other movements that have been identified with the Goth subculture as well. But as a foundation, the Goth subculture, the way as we know it today, is a music-based subculture. And a few of those bands who founded the Goth subculture are Susie and the Banshees, The Cure, who actually refused to be called Goth or have been refusing for a very long time, Joy Division and Bauhaus. So those are kind of the four big bands that started it all, that made the Goth movement into what it is today. However, if we look at the Goth subculture nowadays, we can actually tell that it's more a fashion-based subculture, because all you see around you is fashion-based content. The music, however, is still a very big part of it, but visually speaking, it is a lot easier to identify who belongs to the Goth subculture or who dresses as if they could belong to the Goth subculture. Now, a lot of people don't want to identify as Goth, and that's totally fine if you do or if you don't want to. I'm not here to put people in boxes. Labels are for boxes, but I just want to give you some clarification. So I personally use the label goth because I feel I identify with it most, but I could also use darkly inclined or simply alternative because that's also what I identify as. But it doesn't really matter. The thing is, the main point that I want to make is that the goth subculture has evolved since the 70s and 80s. The music has evolved. It has become more industrial based, there is more electronica incorporated in it, and that is also fine. You just have a lot more variety in what is considered goth nowadays than it was in the 70s and 80s. And I know that some of the people who have been around for longer really want to hold on to that core, to that essential part of the goth scene. I personally don't, because I think everyone and everything evolves, even a subculture. So I really want to strongly encourage you to identify yourself as you want to identify yourself, and not what some random person on the internet tells you to do identify as or to not identify as, because they have no right to decide that for you. And I know that gatekeeping in the goth subculture is something that people online behind their computers are very good at, can get very aggressive about, and it's just wrong. I feel that if you come to a goth party, you will never be treated that way, or that particular person who is a gatekeeper will not be welcomed into that party, because goth actually is a very open-minded and a very socially accepting subculture. We're all misfits, or at least that's what it feels like. We all belong together, and that feeling of belonging is something that I personally really want to give you on my channel. I want to connect with you, and that's what I feel social media should do. It is a social aspect. It should be socially connecting people from anywhere in the world that belong together, or that want to belong together, and that is what for me the goth subculture is. So now I want to kind of get into the advantages versus disadvantages. I first want to get into the advantages because I feel the positive should outshine the negative. The first one is that nowadays goth influencers have a very big reach. I can connect through my videos to anywhere in the world. I have people watching my videos from literally everywhere in the world, every single country. I think I have someone at least watching my videos sometime a month. And that is really the biggest advantage of social media, is that you can connect with people anywhere in the world that belong to the same subculture. And that is amazing. And with this comes that it kind of unites the subculture regardless of where the content creator and the watcher are. So you, the people watching my content, and me, the person making the content, can be based anywhere in the world, and we can still connect and unify this goth subculture. It is also one of the biggest means to share creativity. If you would look at my Instagram feed, at the people I follow, there are a lot of creative people out there doing exceptional things with makeup, with their outfits, with just posing, with picture taking, with painting, but just being creative. And I'm not just talking about the fashion aspect, I'm also talking about the music aspect, because for me, music is one of the biggest components of how I identify in the goth subculture. So sharing that creativity is one of the biggest advantages in my personal opinion. So discovering more music actually comes with this one. It's something that I have written onto a piece of paper because I think it is so important. But I have discovered so much music, especially thanks to my music videos. And if I make music related content, I actively ask for music recommendations, and that's how I found some of my now favorite bands. So I think the music is something that really unites us all still. Of course, hearing stories from different times, so from people who have been part of the goth scene from longer, from different countries who maybe have a different type of goth scene than yours, or even from different subgenres within the goth scene. There is gothic Lolita, there is more the cyber goth movement, there is the very strong trad goth movement, there's also people who identify more as metal than as goth, and that is fine. I think it's super interesting to see all of these different points of views and these different experiences within the goth subculture. And then of course the biggest advantage is the community building and the connection that you can build with your followers, with fellow content creators, with fellow influencers, as I like to call them. So I feel that these advantages are so important, and back in the days there used to be Vampire Freaks, and I used to be very active on some of the groups on Vampire Freaks, talk to other people, engage with them, and I think that actually formed me a lot more than the people I knew in real life who were part of the goth scene, because I didn't manage to see them often and I used to live in the middle of nowhere. And nowadays I feel I I connect a lot more with the people through video than in real life, because due to COVID we weren't even able to see each other. Now that everything starts up again, I want to share my experiences with those of you who are not able to attend events, so that you at least know that the subculture is still alive in some way, shape or form. And then we get into the not so positive. The not so positive for me is the people who associate the Goth subculture purely as a fashion statement. The Goth subculture is a part fashion-based, yes, but it is not only a fashion statement. It is also not a fetish, not a kink, not specifically related to BDSM either. And that's something that a lot of people also misinterpret, and that I feel is something very negative. And I will make a video in the future about Goth, fetish and BDSM, but that's not for today. What I also feel is that sometimes there are very strong opinions and that there is no dialogue possible. I am recording this video in front of my camera, but there is no one that I'm actually talking to behind that camera. I personally really love engaging with you in the comment section, but if I were to be someone very close-minded, and there are some people who are, then I would be very aggressive in those comments. And I have actually seen Goth YouTubers and content creators on other platforms be very aggressive towards the people who comment on their videos if they don't share the same opinion they do. And it's something that I personally feel is not good at all. Now, I do also want to address something, and it is that I personally remove comments from my videos if they are harmful. So if they are harmful to either myself as a person or to other people who are commenting on my videos, etc. So I will remove comments and I will block certain people. Why? Because I want my channel to be a safe space. But it is a completely other reason to delete comments because you want to keep your channel a safe space than to if someone else politely states their own opinion and doesn't agree with you. That's a totally different discussion. And then the last one, which is something that I personally see happening a lot, is misinterpretation. You have people from everywhere in the world creating content. Some of us are native English speakers. I personally am not. However, I create my content in English to have it available to as many people as possible. However, some things do get lost in translation. To some things I don't know the exact words, and that's fine. But I feel that a lot of misinterpretation and miscommunication also comes through social media, regardless of it being video content or written captions to a picture, etc. So I feel that if everyone would just be a lot more tolerable to each other, it would be a lot nicer space as well. And I feel, especially for my personal channel, I want to keep this channel a positive, reinforcing space for the Goth community, for the Goth subculture, because I feel it's something that I'm so passionate about that I just want to share with you, with the world. And I just want to make this channel for people belonging to the Goth subculture, but also to the people who just are curious about it, who don't know if they belong or not. And you don't have to stick the label Goth to yourself if you don't want to. Again, you're not a box, you shouldn't stick labels on yourself, but you also don't need to wait for the approval of someone else to be able to call yourself Goth, and especially don't listen to other people who don't even know you, who base judgment solely based on a comment or on a picture. Their opinion is not something that you need to be worried about. So I want to let you know that even if you have been hurt online by people telling you things that are not true, that deep inside you, you know are not true, trust me, I've been there as well. Other people's opinions don't make you who you are. You are amazing as you are, and you don't need to have the validation of someone else to know that. But if you need it, here it is. Here is my validation that you as a person, you are amazing regardless of what you identify as or what you want to identify as. I just hope that we can keep this online Goth community a safe space, a creative space, a space where we can all just be openly ourselves and just encourage each other to be the best versions of ourselves and not to tear each other down, because that's not what we stand for. If you want to share your opinion with me on this topic, then feel free to do so in a comment down below. Be warned, keep it polite, don't start attacking me or giving me very aggressive messages or on anyone else in the comment section, because they will be deleted and you might get blocked. Just a fair warning, because this is a safe and positive space. Also, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I make weekly videos and I would love to hear for every single one of them. Before I end this video, I of course want to thank my patrons, and more specifically my high tier patrons, Anders, Jerry, Jen, JB and Professor Gothic. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. It means the world to me. And because we reached 10 patrons, one of my future videos will be based upon what they decide on. If you want to be one of my patrons as well, feel free to use the link in the description box of my video. And let's end this video by just thanking you for watching until the end, and I will see you next week with a new video. Bye!